There is a statement I'm going to make, and it's going to sound bizarre because it involves a specific store. And I'm sure there's people who work in these stores who are good people. It's a store I used to go to when I needed something in and out and faster than China Mart or local grocery store. It was Walgreens. So COVID has never ended at Walgreens, it seems. Now you could say, wait a minute, you're going to make a whole statement about this? A drugstore in Texas? No, this isn't about a drugstore in Texas. This is about the world's biggest drug cartel. That's what this is about. It's not about a drugstore in Texas. It's not even really about COVID. It's about the world's biggest drug cartel and best drug cartel. We're sending troops to go attack the Maduro cartel. Pete Hegseth and Marco Rubio, President Trump have made this decision. And yeah, those are vicious cartels. They shipped a lot of fentanyl into our country. And they're vicious people. They would tell you they're just business people. They would tell you if drugs were legalized, they could change the way they do business, but it's not. And so they're farmers, ranchers, and this is just the way they have to sell their product because the rest of the world is biased against their product. You know, I go to Mexico sometimes. I'll joke about this because when I'm in Mexico, I'm usually in Puerto Vallarta. In fact, that's the only place really I am, or Nueva Vallarta, near Puerto Vallarta. And I'll talk with my friends who live there. And I get it. Like the Jalisco cartel runs Puerto Vallarta, and they actually have better fentanyl policies than Portland, Oregon, and Seattle, Washington. In Puerto Vallarta, they don't allow fentanyl sales. And the cartels will unalive cartel members for hassling tourists if it's bad enough. So they've got these policies, and it's just this weird place. But then I'll say to my friends who are Mexican citizens, we have our cartels in the United States. We don't call them cartels, but we have them. And we've got our cartel bosses. This guy, it's so indicative of who the Mockingbird media is that they choose to have this guy, Dimitri Dukakis. I think I'll say that the right way. They choose this guy to come on and accuse RFK Jr. of lying. RFK Jr. is not a cartel member. He's exposing the cartels by doing some simple things like he wants to safety test their products. And yes, I will get to the Walgreens thing. Don't worry, I didn't just grab that out of thin air. I'll get to it. It's the whole genesis of this, but I want to get to it in order. So this guy, Dimitri, is a Satanist. Just look at his Instagram. He's a guy who proposed that instead of taking a break from men having sex with men they don't know many times a week, maybe in groups, just, call it joy. He's a guy who, when monkeypox was raging, said, well, some people, one person's risk management is another person's joy. No, risk management's a math thing. It's not a joy thing. That's not what it is. And that's not public health. So it is so indicative of the Mockingbird media that they bring this guy on to be the face of the cartel.
From your former colleagues today who were watching the incredibly combative hearing, what they have to say about it?
I mean, yeah, we definitely have been talking with each other. And I think mainly we were just stunned at the number of mistruths that we heard. We heard that David Geyer was not doing research. That's not true. He is, in fact, doing research. He is looking at the vaccine safety data link. You can talk to my colleague, Dr. Jernigan, who can go into great detail on that. We heard that we briefed him. That is also untrue. We heard that he never told Susan that she shouldn't be involved in making any decisions for vaccine policy. That is also untrue. We heard him evade the answer about how many people died of COVID. I think that
it's not evading it. And the personality thing's fine. It's not evading it. Here's where we get down to this. He evaded the question. I'm sorry. When you change the numbers the way they changed the numbers and the definition of a COVID unaliving event the way they did, so that a motorcycle crash and someone who literally is unalived by smacking their motorcycle into a semi, but had COVID 6 months earlier, is a COVID death. And this happened all around the country. Now we get down to the meat of this thing. They had to protect the precious. This is their cartel. Their cartel is far better than the Maduro cartels because they can force people to take their products or blackmail them into that. The cartels in Mexico don't get to do that. So how big of a lie was that? I'll let RFK Jr. answer that in a second. Don't worry, we're getting to Walgreens. COVID didn't end at Walgreens because there are cartel members all over the place, even at Walgreens in Texas, because cartels are money. You have your money somewhere, right? Stored up for retirement somewhere, somehow. So let me ask you this question. Is it stored in such a way that you can take advantage of the fact that there's a new digital coin dropping every day? I didn't say invest in it. That's not what I said. But can you take advantage of that by shorting this or that, or using the proper use of digital coins within a portfolio so you're exposed to it, but not too much? What about this? Now that there are more ETFs than stocks, more electronic trading platforms than there are stocks, is your portfolio stored in a place where it can adjust for that reality? Because I got to think some of these ETFs are going out. What about this? AI's computer power, its coding power, is going to exceed all of the human coders' ability to code sometime in the next couple of years. Is your portfolio set up for that? Maybe this is the time to get back to the basics. My friend Zach Abraham's the Chief Investment Officer at Bulwark Capital Management, and that's what he thinks. It's time to looking at getting back to the basics. So he's putting on a free live webinar coming up October 2nd at 3:30 Pacific. It's free. He's going to talk about his outlook for 2025. He's going to talk about getting back to the basics. He's going to do a full reveal on the risk management strategy at Bulwark. It's free, absolutely free. All you have to do is register to attend. So go to knowyourriskpodcast.com. That's knowyourriskpodcast.com. Investment Advisory Services Officer, Trek Financial LLC, and SEC Registered Investment Advisor. Investments involve risk and are not guaranteed. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Past performance doesn't guarantee future results. I said that. Trek 25-298. This is RFK Jr. talking about the monkeying with the numbers. You had the Satanist doctor saying, oh, he evaded the question on how many people died, quote, from COVID. Well, when you change the definitions of who is vaccinated and who's not, funny thing, you can't tell how many people died after they got shots.
Vaccine is ineffective for the first 6 weeks after the first shot. I'm assuming a two-shot, a two-dose vaccine like Pfizer or Moderna. And that during that period, the COVID infection rate goes up and the death rate goes up. And the data, the official data, do not count you as vaccinated until 2 weeks after the second shot. So the deaths that happened during that first 6 weeks are attributed to unvaccinated people, to the unvaccinated group, which is not, it's a trick. It's a statistical trick. Then the vaccine appears to provide immunity, and good immunity during the first month or 2 months, and then a precipitous decline, a waning that happens very, very quickly and very precipitously, so that by the 7th month, it has lapsed into negative efficacy. And what that means is that after 7 months, if you had that vaccine, you are more likely to get COVID than somebody who has never been vaccinated. And this data is holding up across every country in the world.
So you have this magic window where they pretend you've been shot up, but they pretend you're not vaccinated because at that point, deaths are higher, according to RFK Jr. And I've read the data. I've been talking about this for 5 years. You have this 7th month period where you have this, it's not even really immunity. Your body's just more aware of the function of the disease. And then that precipitously drops off. It becomes negative. You're more likely to get sick. So what do? Oh, you need your booster. Gotta have your booster. And hey, if you're not boosted, you're no longer vaccinated. Our cartels get to play with numbers this way. The Jalisco cartels, the Maduro cartels, they don't need to worry about playing numbers. They're militaristic organizations. In a way, they're more honest. Yeah, we sell drugs. Yep, they're addictive. Yep, we are vicious in pursuit of that. Our cartels don't come out and say it. They simply use blackmail approaches to make sure you take their stuff. Or they fail to mention that things like antidepressants are wildly, wildly addictive. Anti-anxiety meds, they fail to mention that. Now, it's in the paperwork that no one ever reads. So it's not really informed consent. So our cartels are just different cartels. Oh, yes, we're getting to Walgreens because COVID never stopped at a Walgreens in Texas. which means for me that I've stopped going to Walgreens anywhere. Just heads up, if there's Walgreens execs listening, change the policy, I'd like to come back. You remember Deb Walensky? She was one of the best and the brightest at the CDC. She'd come out and said, when you get the injection, you don't pass it on, you don't get sick and you don't pass it on. She said a lot of things about masks and lockdowns, etc. Eventually, she came around and said, man, I just can't believe that we got this all wrong. Darn the luck, we were just all wrong.
Where could we have improved? Well, you know, I think I can tell you where I was when the CNN feed came, that it was 95% effective, the vaccine. So many of us wanted to be hopeful. So many of us wanted to say, okay, this is our ticket out, right? Now we're done. So I think we had perhaps too little caution and too much optimism for some good things that came our way.
Yeah, except this. The emails now indicate that you do. We have you on email expressing the fact that you knew that wasn't the case. So it wasn't a mistake. It was a lie from a cartel helper. Walgreens in Texas, Dr. Mary Bowden, they've been attempted to cancel her from being able to practice medicine. She gave someone a prescription for ivermectin. Here's what happened at Walgreens in Texas.
What medication?
Ivermectin?
No, for ivermectin, for treatment of COVID, we cannot do that. And plus, we don't have it in stock. Looks like she has the application for the Paxlovid.
No, she was wanting to take the ivermectin, not the Paxlovid, but you are out of stock on it?
Right, and plus we don't dispense this for COVID treatment with the high dose, especially for the older people. We don't do it. We cannot do it.
Okay, so the doctor wrote the script, but you're just saying you're not going to be able to do it?
Even with a diagnosis for COVID, we cannot do it as well.
So, no. Oh, funny thing. That cartel drug, the Paxlovid, here's the problem. It's contraindicated for that patient's blood pressure medicine. Did you hear her say she's older? The lady at Walgreens said, particularly for older patients. So they would prefer to prescribe for her a cartel drug, Paxlovid, that interacts poorly with her blood pressure medication. Look, cartels are going to cartel. That's what they do. Our job is to be honest about our own nation. We don't have cartels like a Maduro cartel, and we're at war against them now. But we do have cartels, so let's just be honest.